G'day guys and welcome back to Casual Rage. Prepare to start the show, R2. This is where the fun begins. G'day guys and welcome to Casual Rage 130, where we're going to casually rage out about the topics of the week. And of course, all the Star Wars stuff is starting to really ramp up as we're getting closer and closer to the Ahsoka series. It always seems to be the case. It sort of dies down. There's a little bit of a lull in the news and a little bit of a lull on Star Wars. And then all of a sudden it just starts ramping up and there's a lot of Star Wars talk. I mean, there's always a lot of talk on Twitter about Star Wars if you're following the right channels, or the algorithm sort of sees that you're constantly looking at Star Wars stuff. But yeah, I find that as we always seem to get closer to these shows coming out, or something new happening with Star Wars Celebration or something like that, it always seems to ramp up. It always seems to get bigger and bigger, and there's a lot of talk and a lot of debate. And yeah, there's actually a fair bit to talk about today. We're going to talk a little bit about the Ahsoka series because, of course, like I said, the Ahsoka series is coming up. When is it? August, right? They actually gave us a release date. Yeah, August 23rd. So we'll talk a little bit about that. Also, just want to talk a little bit about Order 66. We'll get into that. There's also Leslye Headland. We're going to talk a little bit about the Acolyte and Leslye Headland. A little bit about Mando. And one of the big things that I want to actually go over is something that we talked about last week. Tony Gilroy, basically, the way that the article was posted doesn't really reflect what he said quite well. And I actually want to go through the interview that he did. There's some cut scenes that didn't quite make it into Mando Season 3 that we're going to talk about as well, if you know what I'm talking about. It's typical shipping shit. It's the typical Star Wars or Disney Star Wars go-to, really. And that's what Star Wars has become. And that's what Star Wars is now. It's all about shipping characters and, you know, having these, I don't know if you could even call them love stories, because there's not really a love story there. It's more just making sure that the Disney Star Wars fans are happy with what they're getting. We're going to talk a little bit about some other stuff that's not Star Wars related. There was a clip from The Flash that came out that I want to watch with you guys. It's pretty horrid. And they also dropped a trailer for Expendables 4 that we might watch. I'll probably get hit on that, to be honest with you, with the copyright, but we can always clip it out later. But yes, welcome everyone. Welcome to Casual Rage 130. Geez, we're getting up there in those numbers, aren't we? Let's quickly say hello to you guys in the chat. Dan Blackroyd came in early, and yes, I did have a typo. I didn't add the G into misogyny because Star Wars is misogynistic. So we've got to make sure that changes, right? We've got to make sure that that's no longer the case moving forward with Star Wars. We got Christian here. He must have come in 13 hours earlier. We've got Jace in the chat. Thanks, Jace, for being here. I know he was here earlier as well. Star Wars Marvel Purist says, Hail Rhino, going to the F&T meetup tonight in Dallas, but I'll catch you on the replay. Well, to all the people that do come in and watch the replays, thank you for watching. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. And I appreciate all of you. All the guys that, of course, are here live, all you guys here now. I appreciate all of you. You're all awesome. Micah is here. We've got Sith Assassin Trailers in the chat. We've got great Mike Hill, member. Drop some member emojis, guys, if you are a member. Melissa Lord's here. Fear of FEMA. Hey, how you doing? Good evening, Red Hoodwink. Good evening. Pro Jack fan is in the chat. I always say fam. Pro Jack fan is in the chat. Abaru? I'm not too sure, but thank you for being here. I appreciate you. The Fractured Filter says, hail chat and hail the man, the bug killer. That's right. We played some Starship Troopers this morning. It is very glitchy. I'm hoping that by the time they actually officially release the game, it'll be okay. Like, it wasn't... It's not that it's not fun. It was just... It's hard to play a game when it's glitching all over the place. The Disney Shill Rhino, how you doing? Have an awesome stream, mate. Catch you on the replay, dude. Well, thank you. Thank you. Tillium's here. We've also got Soul Assassins in the chat. Said hello to Melissa Lord, and that means I'm all caught up. Hang on a second. What did Soul Assassin say? He says, hey, y'all. What's this about Lucas suddenly buying Star Wars back? Well, yes. And then Sith Assassin trailer comes in and says that's a Doomcock and a Cameron rumor. I didn't have that slated. I did see it. I didn't have it slated to talk about because I don't really want to give it any oxygen. These guys have been wrong on so many levels and so many different occasions that... Look, if it happens, fantastic. I don't see it happening. You know, apparently George Lucas, he got a loan. You got a loan to buy Star Wars back. I don't think George would need a loan, honestly. He sold Star Wars for $4 billion. I'm sure he's turned that $4 billion into something more. And I don't think that Star Wars is worth as much as it was when he sold it. I really don't. I mean, at the end of the day, they might think that it's worth more. They might think that it's worth more than the $4 billion when he sold it, because they think that they're doing a fantastic job. They think that they've satisfied the fans, and they have. They have satisfied their fans, their Disney fans, the new fans that they culminated all of this for, are satisfied and happy and excited. But if you actually remove the fans that have left, they're not even close. They're not even close to the same fan base that they had when they bought it. At least I don't think so. And all the people that I speak to online and everything, how many of them have dipped? How many of them have dropped out? Yeah, no, George is done with it. I don't think that there's any... and then the further part to the rumor was that apparently Kathleen Kennedy is so pissed off and upset that George is going to be buying it back that she's going to destroy as much of it. She's going to burn it to the ground before he has a chance to, buy it back. What a joke. Honestly. And if anybody's actually listening to that and believing it, I mean... I don't know what to say to you. I don't know what to say to you. Look, somebody's writing Gullible in the sky. Like, there's nothing that these guys that do these rumors can say, and this is Doomcock, this is Cameron, this is, I know WDW Pro get into it. It's nothing that these people can say where I'm actually going to believe them. And then that goes to the argument, oh, well, you're taking it with a grain of salt. Good. That's what they say to do. Yeah. I just want to say how many people, and I've said this before, how many people need to say that those rumors are true? How many sources need to come out and actually, say, no, I've heard that too. Oh, I've heard that too. How many of them say it before it stops becoming rumor? We got Sean in the chat as well. We've got the great Matt Wilkins. I'm just here to look at that beautiful beauty of a face. Thank you. Thank you, Matt. It's not happening. No, it's not, Mr. Grant Gregory. It's not. Disney's never, that's true too. Disney's never going to sell Lucasfilm back. I mean, they still think that it's a cash cow. It could have been more of a cash cow than if they've even made money back. I mean, I look at how much money they've actually invested, and the first movie, maybe, they obviously made money on that. They've got some in the bank, but as things have been coming out more and more and more, that's been chipping away at that profit that they made. I don't think they made anything out of the Star Wars hotel that they did, or Galaxy's Edge for that matter. So George is done with Star Wars. 100% agree. This shit ain't happening. It's just not. It's not. And if you believe it, good for you. Good for you. When it doesn't happen, I just don't want to see people out there saying, oh, Doomcock comes out with another video that spins it a different way, and then that's the video that everybody says Doomcock was right about. But they don't say Doomcock was wrong about the Civil War, or Doomcock was wrong about fucking Kathleen Kennedy being fired for the last 7 years, or any of that other stuff. Gordo says, g'day, by the way. Bob Iger will never let Star Wars go. No, never. Nikki's here. Rhino Shell. That's right. Oh, Raging Shell. I'm a moron. Don't worry about me. Corey's here. G'day, Corey. How you doing? I saw a little bit of the stream you were on, Nikki, with Echo Base Network. I don't know. I don't think those guys like me too much, if they even really know who I am. They were talking about the 3 movies that they announced, and I just happened to say, I think that the only one that's actually going to happen is the Rey movie, and it's because they basically paraded her out that makes me think, okay, she's got a contract, and that's where they're heading with it. That's what they're going to do. I don't think the Filoni movie is, well, it could happen, but from what I've heard, they haven't got any script in place or anything like that yet. And it's the last one. It's like, I don't know, 2029, the Filoni movie is supposed to happen. And I mean, we're going to talk about Mando and a little bit about Mando season 4. But with what they did with Mando season 3, I mean, they apparently came up with the script for Mando season 4 before they, because they needed to know where they were going. And I think about Dave Filoni's movie that's supposed to be set in the Mandoverse era, and how are we supposed to... it's just, they're stuck in this time period. They're stuck in this time period, and the worst part about that is that because of what they're doing, it retroactively destroys so many other things. And we're actually going to talk a little bit about that. Today as well, and just your thoughts on it, my thoughts on it. I don't want to specifically spoil it yet because there's a specific question that I want to ask you guys about it. That's right. A lot can happen between now and 2029. And this is the thing too that I look at. Look at how many announcements they've made. Look at how many projects they've announced that haven't happened. I just don't see it happening. Even the other movie, who's doing that one? Is it James Mangold? I think it's James Mangold. That other movie that they announced is Star Wars Celebration. I think, isn't the Rey movie supposed to be the first one that they're doing out of them? Or is it the middle one? I don't even know. This is the thing. They're not even slated for a specific time to be released, I don't believe. It's just the rumors and the things that I've heard out there that's making me say the Dave Filoni one's supposed to be 2029. And was it the Mangold one that he said, oh, I've got a good story for the beginning and end, but I really don't have a middle? He knows what he wants to do. He knows where he wants to go. He knows how he wants to start it, but he has no idea how to get from the start to the finish. It's a great way of writing. It's a great way of describing the story and what you actually want to do. Mando season 4 is going to be a disaster. I can't wait. You know, there's a lot of people out there that will say, oh, you can't wait for Star Wars to be bad. This is the argument that I always make, and, you know, I'm sure you guys feel the same way. And good day, Crazy Mag. Good to see you. Yeah, I kind of want Star Wars to be bad because they're not doing anything good. Now, I want Star Wars to be good. As a whole, I definitely want good Star Wars. But not one thing that they've done has been good Star Wars. Everybody had the beer goggles on for the Luke Skywalker moment at the end of Mando Season 2. The Luke Skywalker stuff in the Book of Boba Fett wasn't good either. And I think as time goes by, it's like there's a lot of people out there that say, oh, as time goes by, these will be much more well accepted and, you know, appreciated for what they are, just like the prequels were. I couldn't disagree more because the more I'm seeing, like, for example, the best example that I can give you in regards to that is Star Wars Theory, right? Now, I think that Star Wars Theory has been a little bit on the fence and I don't like it. I don't like what he's sort of done. But as time's gone by, I mean, the thing that I hate the most about him is that he thinks that everybody at Lucasfilm needs to go except for Dave Filoni. I'd argue that he's one of the first that need to go. He has destroyed more of Star Wars, I reckon, at this stage now than Kathleen Kennedy has done. I would argue that he has done more damage to Star Wars than Kathleen Kennedy. Kathleen Kennedy greenlit the Luke Skywalker stuff, which that's like huge in regards to that individual character, right? But what Dave Filoni has done to the lore, to specific stories of specific characters, even if they are their own characters, right? What he's done to the universe, how small he's made it. Again, when I talk about the lore side of things, I'm talking about like how the Force works, you know, Grogu and things like that. I'm talking about like hyperspace, light speeds, you know, all of that sort of thing. There's a lot that Dave Filoni has done that actually is quite destructive. And I was one of those people back in the day. I was one of those people that would say, oh, Dave Filoni knows what he's doing. Dave Filoni needs to be in charge. I used to say that. But I was blinded. And it's not to say that people out there can't change their mind or can't, you know, flip on a dime sort of thing. Because they can, just like I did. But, you know, when you've got somebody like Star Wars Theory that's got such a big platform and he can talk and reach a lot of people. I don't like his fence riding. You know, there was an episode, I can't remember whether or not it was Mando or whether or not it was The Bad Batch. I can't remember what it was that he was watching. But he said, oh, that was really bad. That was like, I didn't like that episode. He was shitting on it. And then they ask him for a rating and he gives it like a 7. 7 is above average. 5 is average. And like 3 is bad. You can't go saying, oh, this episode was just horrible. I was so bored throughout it. It's a 7 out of 10. Like, what? Come on, man. Need that clip of Joe Biden. Come on, man. Oh yeah, I'm let's get through the Ahsoka series first, hey? Like Ahsoka, that the fact that they're promoting it as like Heir to the Empire stuff for me is enough for, I reckon, a lot of fans to be like, this is bullshit. Despite how they feel about Ahsoka and the Rebels show. You know, we're going to talk a little bit about that as well. But let me get into this first. Let me bring this up real quick. Rosario Dawson says she's manifesting a potential season 2 of the Ahsoka series. I'm ready. I'm excited. I'm willing. Okay, fair enough. As an actor, she's willing to play the role as Ahsoka. She's excited for it and she's ready to do it and she's wanting a season 2. If they announce that they're going to do a season 2, this is a big mistake. It's kind of like the mistake that they made with Rian Johnson and them announcing him getting a trilogy before we even got to see the end result of his movie, which was one of the most destructive things to the Star Wars universe. And you say manifesting, yeah, she's manifesting it. Positive affirmation. I'm going to get a Ahsoka season 2. I'm going to get an Ahsoka season 2. Now, being that Ahsoka is the character that she is, and she is beloved by a lot of people, right? And I feel that they probably are going to do a season 2 of this, as opposed to something like the Obi-Wan Kenobi show, which I don't even know why there's talk about them doing a season 2 of the Obi-Wan Kenobi show, especially after the destruction that they did, right? But so she's manifesting a potential season 2 of the Ahsoka series. So I just don't think that they should come out saying stuff like this when we haven't even had season 1 air yet. They've done a lot of destruction to the Star Wars franchise through the TV shows that they've released. The Mandalorian, and people will argue, oh, what have they destroyed in that? Go and watch my videos. I can't keep repeating myself every time where I've got more than 50% of the chat have heard what I've had to say about it 100 times. They have done destructive things in the Mandalorian show. I don't give a fuck. I've got my evidence out there. It's there. Go and watch it. But you've got Obi-Wan Kenobi. You've got the Book of Boba Fett. You've got Andor. Oh, Andor's the best Star Wars we've ever had in TV series, in a series on Disney Plus. Okay, it might be better than the other stuff that they've done, but it's still not good. The writing's still pretty bland, pretty boring. I mean, majority of people that started watching it stopped watching it after 3 episodes, the first 3 episodes that they released, because of how boring it was. But then you dive deeper into it, you get the seal clapping moments, you know, or the Easter eggs, or they're not really Easter eggs, they're just things that they throw on the screen so that the seals will clap. But they've got to stop making these statements and stop making these announcements. Not that this is an announcement for season 2, but they've got to stop doing this before we even get a chance to see what they've done and give our takes on it, give our criticisms of it, give our praise of it, if that's how you feel about it. They got to stop doing this because, again, from my perspective, everything that they've done so far has been pretty fucking bad. Pretty bad. Takes me straight into this. Official. Ahsoka will premiere on Disney Plus on August 23. Watch the new announced teaser Watch the new announced teaser. So we're going to watch that. I know it's only, 30 seconds long or something. But let's watch it. Because I saw it and I honestly, I know people don't believe this. Like, oh, you watched it. I haven't watched it. Honestly, haven't watched it. Please tell me if you guys don't have audio.
It's been a while. Things have changed. I started hearing whispers about Thrawn's return as heir to the Empire. We have to prepare for the worst. The Jedi fell a long time ago. There aren't many left.
Perhaps it is time to begin again.
Ahsoka.
Wow, that's new. There wasn't much in there that's new. There's the bit where this bit at the end where she stabs the droid is new. I think the bit where she ignites Ezra's lightsaber might be new. But there's one bit. Hold on, let me watch it again for a second. And now
It's been a while. Things have changed.
Yes, things have changed.
Whispers
it's really bad.
Thrawn's return as heir to the Empire.
See that's horrible. And they're trying to play on this so much.
We have to prepare for the worst.
Okay, I just want to go back to this for a second. So I basically made the argument in the original trailer, where is Bail Organa? And people are like, oh, Bail's dead in this timeline. Now, yes, he is 5 years after Return of the Jedi. Of course he is dead. He blew up on Alderaan. But how old is Mon Mothma 5 years after Return of the Jedi? This isn't the Mon Mothma from 5 years after Return of the Jedi. If anything, this seems to me like it's a flashback, right? She looks pretty young there. She looks like the same Mon Mothma from the Andor series, and Bail is still alive during that timeline. And that's another thing that they did with Andor. They completely cucked him completely out of the series when he should be very important. And I always make the argument that Mon Mothma in the Andor series should have gone to Bail for the 400,000 credits that she needed to save her ass, as opposed to selling off her daughter. But nobody looks at those avenues or the attachments that these characters have or who they know.
The Jedi fell a long time ago.
The Jedi fell a long time ago.
There aren't many left.
There aren't many left. Really? Really? Now, again, this is supposed to be 5 years after Return of the Jedi. The thing that's crazy to me is, like, Luke gets told to pass on what he learned in Return of the Jedi, and he still hasn't even started, like, forming anything or doing anything or anything. You know, by the time Luke comes into Mando Season 2, Mando Season 1 is 5 years after Return of the Jedi. Grogu spent many years with Mando. So by the time we get to Mando Season 2, the end of it, 7 to 10 years, let's say. Somewhere in that period, after Return of the Jedi. He then spends 2 years, apparently. Grogu spends 2 years with Luke in the Book of Boba Fett series. So we're going from anywhere from, let's say, 9 to 12 years now, something like that, in the Book of Boba Fett series. And he still hasn't even got his first apprentice yet, because he says to Grogu that he'll be the first Jedi in his new academy. Now, again, it depends on when this statement is being said. But I would argue that even after Order 66, this statement is no longer true. There are heaps of Jedi left after Order 66.
Perhaps it is time to begin again.
And I don't think that's the same droid. They doesn't really have that same face, does it? No, different color. Well, that wasn't really much of a teaser, was it? Like, that was just all stuff that we saw in the original trailer. To me. Like, are we supposed to get some new shit? I would have thought at least that they'd show us Thrawn's, like, headshot from the front, not that reverse shot. And here are some pictures that Star Wars Theory decided to share on Twitter from the, what's it called? Empire magazine. I saw a lot of people arguing about this character. Oh, who is this? Oh, it's Starkiller. Bring Starkiller in. It's Starkiller. He's got a very similar helmet to Starkiller's helmet. Make him an Inquisitor. If it's Starkiller again, it's Starkiller in name only. You know, it's like if they bring Mara Jade into the story at some point. It is Mara Jade in name only. Because they can't do the Mara Jade that is actual Mara Jade. So there was this image that came in. There's this image of Ahsoka. You know, they got this star chart in the background. Star charts, like Disney don't have a star chart. They don't, because again, hyperspace is now teleportation. You're just there. You're at your destination. Hyperspace lanes don't mean a fucking goddamn thing. That's not Starkiller. I don't think it is either. It's just it's the 18th brother, you know. Sabine, and there's a couple more here. It's just Ahsoka with her cowl on and that same one again. Casting might be okay. It's a bit like J.J. Abrams' Trek, right? I reckon the casting is one of the best parts of that Star Trek. My personal opinion, I'm not a massive Trekkie. If you do like your Trek and you disagree with me, that's cool. Casting's fine. It's the story that's going to be the issue with this Ahsoka show. And probably the lack of it. And probably the elements of the Heir to the Empire that they are going to try and weed into this series. Because Thrawn is the heir to the Empire. Oh, but Rhino, if Thrawn is the heir to the Empire, then why can't they say that he is the heir to the Empire? Why can't they reference it? Because they changed it. It's not Luke Skywalker's story anymore. Oh, that makes you a fucking sexist. Sabine looks like a damn boy. Yeah, well, are we surprised, Nikki? Coming from Disney? Are we surprised at all? Where are the dudes? So far, it looks like Thrawn, Evil Ray Stevenson, and extras. Yeah. Where are the dudes? Looks like one of the Inquisitors from the Rebels show. Trying to remember. It's been so long since I've watched Rebels, and I'm not going back and watching it again. There's some good moments in Rebels. I'll give it that. Some good moments. That's why they aren't showing Thrawn. Filoni knows people are going to end up liking him the most. Well, from what I've heard with what they're going to be doing with Thrawn and the way that the actor spoke about the sort of changes that he's making to the character, again, I'm almost tempted to say that this is going to be Thrawn in name only. I mean, when you look at Rebels Thrawn compared to the original Thrawn, it's still Thrawn in name only. They brought elements of Thrawn into Rebels and how he views art and things like that, and it gives him strategy and he, you know, his tactician abilities or tactical abilities. I don't know. We'll have to obviously wait and see. And as you guys know, I will be watching it and giving my takes on it. I will be letting you know my thoughts, and I'll be watching it. Yeah. The more misogyny, the better. Well, we'll get to that. We'll get to that. How you doing, Stunning and Brave Megatron? Good to see you as well. It will be fake Disney Thrawn. Yep. Right, but I mean for normies. Yeah, I get what you're saying. They will see Lars, and I'm sure he will do good with whatever crap they give him. I'm sure he can do fine too. But see, this is the thing too, is a lot of them have done fine with the, in regards to acting, but this is the way that they've been told to do it. Except for really Reva. That character was not only pointless, but poorly written. Motivations are way out of whack. And again, changing the law of how lightsabers stabs can actually kill you. But see, they did the same thing with, what's her name? Fennec Shan. They shoot her in the stomach. She dies. And we just get like this mod thing put in. Go to the tattoo parlor, the mod parlor. Happy days. Thrawn is my favorite EU character. I'm going to be so triggered, LOL. I don't doubt it. So am I, Nikki, to be honest with you. Which sucks because I like Lars. I mean, I like Rosario Dawson. I've liked stuff that she's been in before. She's no mainstay. She's no like head honcho actor. But the things that I've seen her in, I've enjoyed what she's done. Okay. I want to just touch on this. Now, this was what I was talking about. So, hang on. Let me bring it up first. Okay, so the late Ray Stevenson's character in Ahsoka, Baylan Skoll, is a former Jedi that survived Order 66 and has since become a mercenary for hire. This is my question to you. The more and more that we keep getting into Disney Star Wars, is the concept and the intenseness, let's say, of Order 66 being diluted? With the amount of Jedi survivors that we have. Because in my eyes, it definitely is. The more and more we keep getting into Disney Star Wars and we keep getting more and more and more Jedi survivors. I mean, all the Inquisitors so far are Jedi survivors. From what we've been told and what we've heard, not one person has said that it was a recruited Sith assassin or dark side assassin that Vader or Palpatine hired or anything. From my understanding so far, all the Inquisitors were ex-Jedi. Even the Grand Inquisitor, which was shown in Rebels. But then we've got characters like Cal Kestis and his master. And then if you go to the Obi-Wan Kenobi series, how many lightsabers were in those tubs? And how many of the Jedi wrote on those walls throughout the path that they go through to be saved? Now you've got this guy, Baylan. And who knows, probably his apprentice as well, the chick one from this series. You've got Kanan Jarrus, who does die in the end, not at the hands of Vader, not even at the hands of Thrawn. The more and more Jedi survivors that we continue to get, to me, dilutes everything to do with Order 66. Palpatine failed the purge. He might have gained power. He might have succeeded in what he was basically trying to do in regards to gaining power. Now, I'm not going to argue that every single Jedi died that night of Order 66 because I know from the EU that that's not the case. But the ones that did survive were hunted down by Vader. Very early on too. You know, I saw somebody tweet out the other day, oh, it's not so far-fetched to believe that there were plenty of Jedi survivors out there. I mean, Obi-Wan Kenobi went back to the temple and changed the signal to say, run away, don't come back. Because the signal was out there saying, come back to the temple, come back to Coruscant. The war is over. They were basically the Empire, the Emperor and Vader, basically put that signal out there to lure in any Jedi that did survive. How many of them made it back to the temple? Yoda and Obi-Wan. Now, yeah, they reversed the signal to tell them all to get away and run away and all of that sort of thing, just in case. But, you know, that scene where Order 66 goes down and Yoda is on Kashyyyk and he sort of drops his cane and he drops to the ground and his heart's hurting. He feels the amount of loss out there. To me, that scene is now completely diminished. Reva is another Jedi survivor who survives being stabbed twice by Vader. To me, this entire thing has been diluted. And I also want to make the argument that back when they were filming Rebels, right? This is one thing, I hate Freddie Prinze Jr., but this is one thing that I've got to give him credit for. I don't know, I tried to find it. I found the quote, right? And we'll get to that in a second. But Freddie Prinze Jr. went to Filoni and said that Kanan needs to die before we get to the end of this series. Why did he say that? Why did he say that? Because in the back of his mind, and Filoni agreed with him at that time, in the back of both their minds, by the time we get to by the time we get to A New Hope, there are 2 Jedi left. That is it. That's it. There was Obi-Wan and there was Yoda. And it was pretty much only Obi-Wan and Yoda from the moment of Order 66. The only reason why I know that it's not the case was because in the Rise of Darth Vader novel, there was a band of Jedi on Kashyyyk that got hunted down by Vader. But then I also saw the other day that Ayla Secura and there was another one, I can't remember now, survived as well. Like, to me, Order 66 has been massively diluted by Disney. And that's the same thing as doing your character destruction of Luke Skywalker. And Shakti. Thank you, Nikki. Ayla Secura and Shakti survived as well. Jedi Masters. Not just Jedi Knights. Yeah, that's why I hate fucking Freddie Prinze Jr. 2 + 2 = balance. Fucking moron. Yeah, wonder where Cal was during the OT. Wonder where Ahsoka was during the OT. Wonder where Balin was during the OT. There are so... Absolutely, man. It is so fucking stupid. And this is the thing that blows my mind, is that somebody like Star Wars Theory, I'm not saying that he doesn't love Star Wars. I know he does, right? And I know he wants good Star Wars. But this is where I can't understand where somebody like him goes, oh, I'm all for this, only if Dave Filoni's involved or in charge. He's the one doing this. He's the one that's doing this. So this is the quote. So this was, again, I don't know whether or not it was during the time that they were recording. It must have been. It must have been. From the moment that they started doing this series, I believe Freddie Prinze Jr. was like, well, Kanan's got to die by the end of it. Because everybody at that period of time just believed that there were 2 Jedi left. Baby Yoda is another one. Absolutely. Thank you, Nitrium. Where was Baby Yoda during the OT? So many Jedi survivors. What about, I can't even remember his name now, Jar Jar Binks. I'll call him that. Another Jedi survivor of Order 66. And that whole scene takes away from the containment of the Jedi Purge in the temple, because they're flying through Coruscant, shooting, hitting buildings, blowing up buildings, all of this kind of stuff. It never went that far wide. It never made it out of the temple like that. It is so bad what they're doing. So this is Dave Filoni quoting this. I have to give Freddie a lot of credit because he really kept me on track with this throughout the whole series. So throughout the entire series, Freddie was like, you know, by the end, Kanan needs to be gone. Like, he can't be around during the time of the OT, right? Because he was adamant about Kanan needing to go, needing to die. Even at the point when I was like, man, Freddie, this is depressing. Man, Freddie, this is depressing. He was like, no, man. Nah, man. Of course, the whole Freddie Prinze Jr. thing. You got to do it. You have to make it happen. It was like, okay, I guess I will. I was very sad. It was very moving. Now, the way Kanan Jarrus sacrifices himself, I'm not going to deny, is a pretty good scene and a pretty good way to go out, right? For a Jedi Knight. I don't like the whole idea of him even surviving Order 66, but he did. And then, of course, you get a little bit of Bad Batch Season 1 of how he survived, which changed from their own canon again. It's kind of like Tales of the Jedi. All the Ahsoka stuff during Tales of the Jedi completely retcons the book. But see, when Disney came out and said, oh, we're going to decanonize the EU and we're going to have this one good linear story that just makes sense and the canon's going to be spot on. The books, the shows, the animated shows, the live action stuff, it's all going to be connected. Bullshit. They've already fucked that. Now, I'm not saying the EU was perfect, but it was way better and way more consistent than this. So again, I want to ask the question, have Disney made Order 66 almost pointless? Have they removed the power that Order 66 gave you as a viewer of that moment? I think I saw most of you earlier saying, yes, it did. Absolutely. But yeah. Thank God he died. Imagine Freddie looking like an old cigarette. in live action. Well, they've started asking him, are you going to make it into live action? And Freddie's been coming out recently and saying, no, he doesn't want to do it. Apparently, he didn't even want to do the voiceover stuff for young Kanan Jarrus in the Book of Boba Fett, in the Bad Batch, because he said that it closed his story really, really well. Disney changed everything. Yep. Order 66 is only semi-effective. Yeah, that's that. Wait, oh, shit. Hold on. Absolutely, Order 6 has been basically retconned. Yeah, it was really weird, wasn't it, Nikki? He sounded older. He sounded older than he was when he was older as a character. But yeah, I just wanted to make that point that I am getting so sick and tired of seeing multiple Jedi survivors here, there, popping up everywhere. And how powerful Order 66 was as a moment in Star Wars is continually being diminished. Now, there's nothing that the Acolyte can do because that takes place 100 years before Phantom Menace, just after the High Republic. Speaking of the Acolyte, I saw this. And I think some of this stuff is the reason why Star Wars Theory is starting to lose his shit over some of the things that we're getting. So this is a new statement. I don't know when this was. An interview in 2019. Let's just listen to Leslye Headland here.
This is like what we understand to be Star Wars, like the idea that like that only came from George Lucas, that only George Lucas holds the key.
Guys, what do you think about just that? Does only George Lucas hold the key? I think that there's other people that can actually direct Star Wars. And I think that was proven during Empire Strikes Back. But George Lucas holds the key to the lore and the structure of the universe and what Star Wars is. Nobody else can really do that because nobody else at the moment has been able to prove to me that they can. No matter how you feel about the prequels and what George Lucas did with the prequels, it's still told a consistent story, a cohesive story, moving through those three movies and moving into the OT. Now, he could have used some help, and I think that there were people out there that could have helped him, even with the writing side of it. But the writing side of it wouldn't have changed the story threads that George wanted and how he wanted to put it out there.
For what we understand to be Star Wars is just untrue.
It's not untrue. Let's just listen to that opening part again.
This is like what we understand to be Star Wars, like the idea that like that only came from George Lucas, that only George Lucas holds the key for what we understand to be Star Wars is just untrue.
No, it's 100% true. He is the creator. He is the person that came up with the concept of Star Wars. He knows Star Wars better than anyone.
And I think the prequels are an excellent example of that. I mean,
this is the thing. She doesn't know anything about Star Wars, right? She tries to say that the prequels are an excellent example of that. No, again, I'll make the argument that his story threads were great. The way that it told the story was fine. It was some of the dialogue and things that he could have had a little bit of help with. Maybe change a couple of things up here and there in regards to like law mechanisms and things like that. But other than that, it told a cohesive, consistent story from those 3 movies rolling into the OT. She has no idea what she's talking about.
The idea that like when you're hiring a director, that everyone is sitting in there waiting for George Lucas and not for the person who's going to know to hire Ralph McQuarrie, that's the problem.
Again, if you're going to bring in somebody to direct a Star Wars movie or whatever, right, under George Lucas, it is George Lucas's story. It's George Lucas's script that they are basically then going to put to the screen. It's this next line that fucking really shits me.
That's the misogyny and the problem with the auteur myth.
That's the misogyny of it. And the problem with it is that it was George Lucas alone. And this really tells you what the Acolyte is going to be like. I mean, look at this dude's face. She's probably saying, you know, this man over here, even though he's an Asian man, you got to speak to him like he's a piece of shit. He doesn't know what he's talking about. He's just a misogynistic piece of shit dude. He's got a dick between his legs and he identifies as a man.
As it stands today, because they're not thinking this is the person that will hire the right people and this is the person that will be able to create the lookbooks and direct people to get them to that place. They're just thinking, do you have all the answers? And the truth is that nobody does, and anybody that says they do is lying.
Bullshit. Because I'm sure that there are actual fans that have answers. You can't just create this in a committee. You just can't create this in a committee. I got to play it now. Where is it?
No time to discuss this in committee.
I am not a committee.
But see, this is the thing. This is the problem with the story group that they've got now. You've got these people that are like, oh, what do we need in Star Wars? Oh, diversity. Oh, dinosaurs. Oh, this. Oh, that. And then they try and culminate all of that into one story. And it falls flat on its face. The way that she talks about Star Wars should tell you everything that you need to know that the Acolyte is going to be just another abomination of George Lucas's Star Wars. When George Lucas came out and he said the original 6 movies are definitely mine. They're my philosophy. They're my thoughts. It's mine, right? But they went off on a different direction. This is the different direction that they chose. Harvey Weinstein's former personal assistant, Leslye fucking Headland, that thinks everything is embedded in misogyny and the patriarchy. And she's going to adapt Star Wars through that lens. Fantastic. Just what every Star Wars fan wants. And there are plenty. There is a plethora of female Star Wars fans, actual Star Wars fans. I got a couple in my chat right now. I got Melissa Lord here. I got Nikki in the chat. We've got OG Star Wars. We've got Alora. Anna, that Star Wars girl. These people do not agree with Leslye Headland and her thoughts on Star Wars. And that's true too, Chris. Thank you. The nerve she has talking about misogyny. Yeah, when she's Harvey Weinstein's former personal assistant. She's got some nerve. That's right. Nikki misses hot men. Well, don't come here for a hot man. I want hot Sith. It's... It disgusts me to think that she's talking about, like, and the reason why she's saying this is because Kathleen Kennedy is the one making the decisions in regards to who she's hiring, right? And she wants to make it well known that she can tell you how Star Wars is supposed to work. She can't tell you what her favorite Star Wars movie is. There's just all the Star War, right? But she can definitely tell you that she's the one that is now empowered by Kathleen Kennedy to come out and tell you what Star Wars is and how Star Wars is supposed to work. Fucking fantastic. Let me just see if there's I think no. Just wanted to see if there's any member chats or anything like that. So that's fantastic, isn't it? Absolutely great. Let's see. Let me just touch on this really quickly. I'll get this out of the way. I hate when they say this person's name because I can't pronounce it, so I never do. Okay. The Mandalorian producer, Rick has addressed the status of Season 4. I'm excited, and it's certainly coming. Just don't know exactly when. Now, I'm not going to go into the full quote. Like I said, I just want to touch on this really quickly. The fact that they don't know when Mando Season 4 is coming, I think the way that they did Mando Season 3 and the way that they ended it with, like, you know, the yibbity that's all, folks, with the little circle at the end and everything, that really felt like a very big full stop on the end of The Mandalorian. But again, we got told that coming, while they were making Season 3, they had Season 4 all planned out, plotted out, and they got to know where they're going, right? So Season 4 is coming. But what's Season 4 really going to be? We really feel like we've got to the end of that. You know, it makes me wonder what Moff Gideon is, what's actually going to happen with him, because, like, you know, he's obviously doing the cloning thing. Is that clone that they destroyed, is he just going to be back? You know, nobody is ever really gone, sort of thing again. Is that where we're headed with The Mandalorian? And everything that they've been doing with the Bad Batch, The Mandalorian, everything's heading towards cloning. And why? Why are we heading towards cloning? Because they need to find a way to justify the sequels. They need to find a way to justify Snoke. They need to find a way to justify Palpatine. So the fact that, you know, I'm excited, good for you. You're probably one of the only ones, other than the pronoun police on Twitter, that's actually excited for Season 4, especially after what we got with Season 3. Because there were a lot of people that liked The Mandalorian Season 1 and 2, right? That when Season 3 came out and they started getting things like Lizzo and Jack Black and Shitty Story and fucking Bo-Katan being fantastic and all of this kind of stuff. And Bo-Katan's now allowed to break the rules because she walks both paths and shit like this. That doesn't make any sense to anyone because they haven't done any work to actually explain it. Just like they don't do any work to explain what tracking fobs are or anything like that. Nobody gives a fuck anymore about The Mandalorian Season 4. And the people that do are honestly the people that do this. That's it. That's it. Breaking news. Thanks, Nikki, for $5. Breaking news. Raging Rhino also survived Order 66. He helped Ahmed Best protect Grogu in Season 4. Thank you, Filoni. God. Oh, God. Thanks, Nikki. Oh, man. I helped him. Man. Oh, I'm sorry to say, but if I was slated to help Grogu survive, he'd be dead. Saber out and heads off. Yes, and I would actually decapitate because I don't want any force healing shit. There's another thing. Mando Season 1. How was Grogu able to force heal? Especially when the explanation that we got for why Rey and Kylo are able to force heal is because of their dyad. Who's he a dyad with? Mando. Probably is going to be, you know. How much you want to bet he's going to Naboo? Oh, man. How much do you want to bet he's going to Tatooine? Or Jakku? Or any other sand planet that they want to come up with? You could be right, though, Nikki. Naboo, eh? All right, let me talk about this one really quickly. Move that over a little bit. God. Star Wars, man. Star Wars, my God. Katie Sackhoff revealed at Fan Expo 2023 that in Chapter 23, the spies, that there was a cutscene featuring a kiss between Din Djarin and Bo-Katan. Speak of the devil, there she is. How you doing, Alora? Good to see you. Thanks for stopping in. She finally made it. So Katie Sackhoff revealed at Fan Expo 2023 the chapter that in Chapter 23, the spies, that there was a cutscene featuring a kiss between Din Djarin and Bo-Katan. First of all, Din Djarin would have to remove his helmet to be able to have that kiss scene. Right? Completely destroying the whole thing. Now, this was filmed, apparently. This was filmed and cut. Now, I don't know if this is an actual official picture or whether or not this is a Photoshop of it, but they actually did it. They actually did it. They should have put it in. They should have put it in. Just for my enjoyment. Just for my enjoyment. So the Mandalorian, Din Djarin and Bo-Katan Kryze kissed in a Season 3 outtake. God. This would have made the shippers happy, but also would have pissed them off at the same time. Because they would be like, see, Bo and Din, Din Bo. That's a real thing. It's a real thing. But how dare they take it out? Fuck you. Fuck you for taking it out. Eh. Yeah, he wanted to ship them, didn't he? But then he changed his tune and he wanted to ship Sabine and Bo, I think. This was an actual thing. Now, we knew that there was obviously a discussion that took place. We knew that it was a discussion that took place because Katie Sackhoff on Christian Harloff's, I think it was the interview that she did with him, said that it was talked about, it was discussed. It wasn't just discussed, it was filmed. Probably the reason why they couldn't do it was because Pedro Pascal was never there. That's probably why. But, you know, the new Disney Star Wars fans, this is all for the shippers. You know, what's your favorite ship? Oh, Din Cobb. Oh, Bo Din. Din Bo. Star Wars is becoming more and more a joke as it becomes more and more discredited as, like, we get more and more fucking Jedi survivors, as we mentioned earlier, and all of that kind of stuff. I can't stand Pedro either, to be honest with you. Fuck, it's getting hot in here. Give me 1 second, guys. I got to take this jumper off. Man, it's just, it annoys the shit out of me when Star Wars has become this. And then people would make the argument, you know, the ones that like all of this stuff. Oh, but, you know, Han and Leia and Anakin and Padme, you know, there's always been relationships. There's always been these things. Yes, established relationships by the creators of these things. This, to me, oh, look how much cat hair there is. That's all from my jumper. Fucking just, this is what they want. This is what they want to make Star Wars into. Platform for fucking shipping and relationships and that shit. It's fucking disgusting. Fucking disgusting. Fuck, we're actually flying through these today. We're nearly at the end, and we've only been going for an hour and 12 minutes. When I say we're nearly at the end, we're nearly at the end of all the topics. The fucking Tony Gilroy interview is pretty long, and I don't know how much of it we're going to watch, but we are going to watch some of it. The narrative's fucked, guys. All right. So last week we talked about this. This is the same thing that I brought up last week, right? Andor showrunner Tony Gilroy has addressed the toxicity, surrounding Kathleen Kennedy in the Star Wars fandom. Goes on to say what she goes through, what you gotta have pretty thick skin to put up with that. So I just want to point out how, and I only saw this because of Ryan Kennel's video, right, that he did in regards to this, and the fact that they've put this in there. Not once does Tony Gilroy actually mention toxicity or toxic fans, or not from the clips that he showed. But this is why I feel like we need to go through this interview, because the way, like, obviously we just read headlines, we see headlines and that sort of thing. Yeah, it's not an accurate assessment of what was actually said. Mr. Grant Gregory for $2. Roll your dog. That was a great stream on Wednesday. That was a lot of fun. Guys, if you're not subscribed to the Full Aussie channel, go over. We do a stream Happy Hump Day midweek. It's only like an hour and a half at most. And we've also got Back of the Ute this weekend as well. G'day, Greg. How you doing? Actors goof around on set all the time. Even if they did have a smooch on set, it doesn't mean shit. No, but apparently, like I said, Katie Sackhoff said that it was actually a filmed shot that was just cut. Fucking work. All right. So, what just happened? Hang on. Let me See if I can fix this. Where'd it go? Have they actually removed the interview or something? Help me out here, guys. Like, look at this. Fuck, I hope this... I really wanted to watch this. So, like, there's the play down there. The cursor turns into, like, the little finger. I click on it, and it actually disappears. And then if I refresh it, it brings it back again. Let's just click on this play. What the fuck? Okay, hold on a second. Let me try a different browser. Oh, go away, work. For fuck's sake. No. Oh, hang on. Okay, that was weird. Yeah, I think we got it. Firefox, it worked. Fucking Chrome, it didn't. Let me just make sure that this is... Okay. So very weird. All right. Let me know if you don't have audio. Let's go.
I mean, what's the trick? The trick is imagination, man. It's imagination, ambition, and a real, I know it's such a cliche, but a real need to disrupt. You have to disrupt shit like crazy. You have to turn it upside down and say, well, let's do the opposite of that. Always looking for something that in every scene and in every moment. What haven't we done before? What's new? So you got to be really ambitious and not safe. It's safety.
Straight off the bat, I'm not liking what he's saying. Like, you got to change it. You got to be really ambitious. You got to be really safe. Like, I mean, this is the guy that said that he's not a fan and never was a fan of Star Wars. But yeah, like, I don't really like that.
That's the enemy of expanding.
Why put this piano playing in the background? Fuck.
Things like that.
Oh, because it's the intro.
I've given up all chance at inner peace. I made my mind a sunless space.
Oh, the scene that everybody decided to jizz over.
I share my dreams with ghosts. I wake up every day to know what I do. It's the fight.
Oh, they're going to play the whole fucking thing.
In the lens today.
Everything.
Welcome to Behind the Lens today. You know his work. If you don't know his name, and I know you know his name, but an Academy Award nominated writer and director of the entire Bourne trilogy. He wrote all of those, wrote and directed The Bourne Legacy. Michael Clayton.
Yeah, we might just watch a little bit here at the beginning, and I might skip forward to 1420. Thanks, Nikki.
Duplicity, The Cutting Edge, Dolores Claiborne, Devil's Advocate, Oh my God!
Oh, I like the Devil's Advocate.
Beirut, which I love, by the way. John
Thank you.
Hamm. I thought that was great. You go on, your credits are just amazing, and of course, Rogue One, and now Andor, the series. Welcome, Tony Gilroy.
Thanks for having me, Pete.
You are always busy and always writing and always coming up with something intriguing. This particular project, Andor, seemed especially challenging. It's a prequel to a prequel, essentially.
I guess so. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I didn't know that those boys. I might have to check that out. Covered this a few weeks for their, and I heard that they did a stream in regard on Andor. Andor is not Star Wars stream. That's not them saying it, because they like the Andor show, don't they?
Why did you decide to take on the challenge of what is turning out to be 24 television episodes here?
I was a little naive about what I was getting into, probably. They came, the success of Rogue made everybody very excited. They wanted to do
just with the success of Rogue One, I kind of feel like, yes, it's the best of the worst. Like, it's the best thing to come out of Disney Lucasfilm. But I still feel like, especially when Rogue One came out, everybody still had the goggles on a little bit, because we hadn't had the Last Jedi yet. We only had The Force Awakens out, and that was received pretty well by most fans. I still feel like out of all the Disney stuff, I still feel like I could sit there and watch Rogue One and just be content with it, I guess. I understand that there's changes that they made from, like, again, what we had in the EU, and I completely disagree with them doing that. And I think, again, Rogue One, also the main reason why that was accepted so well was because of Vader's hallway scene. And that's the scene that everybody talks about. It was the scene that only just made it in too. So, I don't know. I don't think time is going to do well for a lot of Disney stuff, including Rogue One.
Do a lot of different things. Always the possibilities. How can they open up the Star Wars franchise? What can they do to change lanes? And they wanted to do a show. They came up
that's cool.
back
I might check it out.
About Diego Luna's character, Cassian Andor, on the show. Could they do a prequel to that, the years leading up to that?
Yeah. But see, that's the other thing too. The fact that they even came out and said that they wanted to do a prequel for it. Like, does anybody care about a dead character? At the end of the day, really, does anyone care? Not really.
And they tried it. They tried it a couple different times, but it was a combination of not being kind of wild enough, and also the economics of streaming hadn't really quite arrived as they were doing it.
This was like announced 5 years ago.
Yeah, they really, but streaming, I mean, you can't do this show inexpensively. There's no way to do Star Wars inexpensively. So the sort of...
Well, they've definitely made Star Wars look inexpensive. Filming constantly in the volume. I think that Andor, to its credit, has a few better shots and a few better scenes visually than a lot of the other Disney Plus stuff that they've done for Star Wars, because it's not shot in the volume. It's shot on site and actually with sets and things like that, as opposed to Mando and Boba Fett and a Kenobi. You can blatantly see how cramped it is inside that volume, despite how big the volume's a pretty big soundstage, you could say, right? But it is still very much cramped, and it seems or comes across as inexpensive, like really cheap.
That Venn diagram of when the moment meets the economy, meets the right idea. And they came back, and I had sent a sort of manifesto critique of one of the other versions in a year earlier as a friend in court, just as a thing. And they came back and go, this crazy idea that you gave us, that you talked about what you would do, and it seems so insane. We would actually like to try that, and we would like to spend the money to do that. And we began tiptoeing forward with that. And that was 3.5 years ago. And it'll be 5 years by the time I'm done. So I have another year and a half, 2 years to go.
That's amazing. Of course, season 1, everyone's seen that, and you're in the midst of shooting season 2.
The second half is how we're really thinking of it. It's really the front half and back half. I think of it sort of as a novel, and it's the first half and the second half of a novel.
Does this format lend itself, as opposed to doing Rogue as a feature film and things, does this format lend it to that intrigues you as a writer, the novel aspect of it?
Oh my God, yeah. I mean, that's the whole attraction, really, is I mean, it's almost as if you've been writing short stories your whole life, and all of a sudden you have how many screenwriters have you talked to? I mean, we live in a 125-page ghetto, really. I mean, that's for your whole life, your attention span, everything. Your mind is just organized around 130 pages. And it's a good way to learn, and we've certainly many people have done it well. But boy, oh boy, to be liberated from that has been for all the hard work and all the trouble that it causes your life and everything. That's what makes it worth it creatively. The landscape and the size of the canvas is really an extraordinary thing to play with. I feel really lucky that I'm still strong enough and to do that. It's a blessing. That
you're the producer, executive producer, creator, writer of many of the episodes you've done and all of that, and then overseeing the writer's room on it in coming up with all of this, but not taking on the directing aspects of it.
I was really vaingloriously going to direct the first 3. This was pre-COVID, and I didn't really know. I had no idea what this job or what the show was really like, what it was going to really take. Right. And I was in London. I was prepping to direct the first 3 while I was anticipating, I suppose, all the rewrites on all the scripts that would have to take place. COVID hit, and COVID saved our show in that sense, because it sent us all scrambling. And then when I'm not dying for the show, I'm not coming back. I'm better served. I'm too busy to direct.
That's sort of how you got into this whole Rogue universe now, this whole Rogue factory. I mean, you came in and did rewrites and reshoots, I believe, on the movie. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't behoove me to talk that much about it, and I don't really. People know. Yeah, I came in as that was a much different experience. I came in as a clinician on that.
Right.
This is very different. I'm probably more proud. At the end, I'll be more proud of this than anything I've ever done. It's the biggest. It's the most I've ever had to say, and with the best actors I've ever had, and many of them. And
that's amazing, saying that the man that's done the entire Bourne franchise, essentially, Michael Clayton, which was just a tremendous Academy nominee.
I'm getting to talk about so many important things in a really vivid, exciting, anxious story, in a real ripping yarn. I get to talk about
boring, isn't it?
All the things that I've been accumulating my whole life long, and probably wouldn't have an opportunity to speak about, because you can't slam things you want.
Those standards,
it's a story about revolution, and it's a story about normal people being thrust into the revolution. We don't have any, we don't have any Jedi, we don't have any lightsabers, right. We don't have any of that stuff. We don't have royal family. This is, as we say, it's.
You don't have any royal family because you chose not to bring in Bale.
And then to have 1,500 pages of original story to be able to tell about revolution and what happens to people over a 5-year period of time with a truly almost messianic character at the beginning and middle of it, who's going through something really extreme. That's a pretty unique opportunity, and we've really poured ourselves into it. So yeah, I'm sure I'll be as proud of this as anything.
Yeah, I've heard, in the Star Wars universe and things, many directors have come in and wanted to do their own vision and have left and never gotten to do that. Here it sounds like you had a great relationship with Kathy Kennedy, with all the powers that be charged with keeping this.
How dare you say Kathleen Kennedy has power at Lucasfilm? She lost the Civil War. How dare you?
This world going.
Yeah, they took a they took a huge gamble on what we're doing. I mean, and you know how these things go when they're this scale. Nobody just says, "Oh, I'm going to sign on," and you start. There's a long period of time of showing work and trying to make deals, and you go pretty far along the way. But they knew what we were going to do, and I think they very wisely and very badly want to open new lanes into this franchise. Why should it just be this one thing? There's so many.
But like, this is the other thing too. They want to open new lanes and stuff like this into this franchise, but they continue to stay in the same era. They continue to, and because they're staying in that same era, it retroactively destroys other parts of the era that they're working in. You know, I'll make the argument for Mon Mothma and Bail Organa. Like, first of all, where is Bail Organa? I've made that argument a million times, and why didn't Mon Mothma go to him and all of that kind of shit. But, like, even just the way that they portray Mon Mothma in this series is just, it's beyond me. It's beyond me in regards to, like, what is she doing? What did she get nothing is even explained as well. Like, what did she get the 400 million credits for? I know that she gave most of it to Luthen, but then when Luthen gets his 80 million credits, he can't, you know, pay her back or anything. So again, she's got to sell off her daughter. Like, what is that all about, really, at the end of the day?
Opportunities in the franchise. And so our mandate was to make a new lane. Try to bring in an audience that may be Star Wars reluctant or Star Wars resistant, you know, and try to do a different kind of show for people who may not, and do a show that you didn't have to watch Star Wars to ever enjoy. And
well, then why are you putting it in this era? I'll make that argument for that statement. If you want to make something Star Wars for people that, you know, weren't ever into Star Wars or anything like that, well, then why are you plopping this right in the middle of an era that's surrounded by all the other Star Wars stuff that's going on? How are people supposed to really understand what's happening? Now, don't get me wrong. I think that any smart, intelligent viewer can sit there and go, okay, I can kind of put these threads together and say that, you know, they're under some sort of fucking tyrannical government in a sense, in a way. But it's still like, wow. And this is where Lucasfilm, they can't remove themselves from that era for some stupid reason. Riff becomes a channel member. Thank you, Riff Star. How you doing? Thanks for becoming a channel member. You now have access to your emojis. We'll get to seal clapping in a second. I thought I'd get to share some love with you, Rhino. Thank you very much. Use my alt account. Well, thank you. You're a legend, Riff.
They made an email.
Oh, and Sean's got to go. Got to go to sleep. Good night, good or day, everyone. Thank you, Sean, for being here. I appreciate you.
Enormous gamble. Yeah. I mean, it's a huge gamble. And they used, you know, the down payment really of the hardcore, passionate fans that you know are going to be there. Those people were really, and the Mandalorian helps us. That's what gave us the muscle, you know, to go to swing as weird and far as we have. But it's still a huge gamble, and they just backed our play all the way through in the most extraordinary way. And we kept our business clean, and we hit all our deadlines and did everything we were supposed to do. So we were kind of a good kid in school. So we were up in London and just, you know, during COVID, buttoned up, just, you know, making it. And I think everybody's really pleased with that. It's been really good.
I think this is a perfect series, and I can see why it's gotten such critical acclaim. Not to mention the public tuning in and being fans of it. But
but no one tuned into Andor. That was one of the biggest stories of it, is that nobody really watched it. Everybody tapped out of Star Wars, and it's because of what they did to Obi-Wan Kenobi and what they did to Boba Fett. I hate how these reporters or this interviewer here, he's fucking, mate, it was critically acclaimed by whom?
It's very relevant. There's a lot of issues going on that are going on in the world today in their own way. And that's why I'm sure it intrigued you as a writer.
It's really true. And it's kind of a sneaky answer, but I'm not being cynical when I say it, that it's, you get to use, because it's Star Wars, because it's removed, and because it's fairly articulated. The 5 years that I'm dealing with has a canonical aspect to it. There are events and historical events that I have to pay attention to, and the things that are happening. It's a good lane, but you can deal with an incredible number of issues that are contemporary, and some of them are very radioactive. But I don't have to pull a comp from the headlines. I have 4,000 years worth of history to pull from. So and I've been a history nerd.
You don't, because all the history that you have got to pull from has been decanonized. So the only history that you've got to pull from is what they've actually done and put on the screen so far. Like, this is the thing that makes no sense to me. How can they in one statement say that, like, the EU is decanonized and then say, I've got 4,000 years of history to pull from? You don't. But that's the thing. They just pluck and take what they want from the stuff that they got rid of. I mean, Kathleen Kennedy said that they've got no books, no comics, nothing. So it's actually quite hard to do.
My whole life, and it's a stupid dinner table amateur historian in that sense. But I've been fascinated with revolution and betrayal and war and leadership my whole life. And so I can cherry pick all through every revolution that I know about. And they're all different and they're all the same, but this happened here, and this is the French Resistance, and this is the Haitian Revolution, and oh my God, this is Thomas
in
Paine,
reality.
This is from the Charles I. And this is this is the Russian Revolution, and this is what happened, the show trials, and this has happened, and so I can free myself from being pinned down to contemporary issues, and I can free myself from interviewers who want me to make comps between, oh my God, you're telling the story of what's happening now.
Well, that's what they're reading into it.
Well, that's, I want the benefit of that without the responsibility. So far, I'm getting away with it. No. But that's and that's that goes back to your earlier question. Why is this so? It's the deepest, richest material I've ever had a chance to deal with.
Yeah, amazing. And what a great cast you were able to put together. I mean, you must get down every day on your knees and pray for Stellan Skarsgård and Genevieve and Andy Serkis and, of course, Diego Luna here.
Oh, man, it just goes so deep. And Nina Gold, Nina Gold and Martin Ware, and the casting. A month ago, I said to Nina, are there any actors left? If it's her taste or the quality of the training there or the core group of maybe 25, 30 regular people that we're carrying. Every single one of them has made me a better writer. It's like having a great instrument. It's like you can play the upright piano over here, you can play the Steinway Grand, and you start playing the Steinway Grand and you start playing a little better and you start playing a little bit more ambitiously. And my writing has I've really had the opportunity to write for these people, and it's just, man, they just make you look so good.
It's amazing. The Star Wars universe, those fans out there.
Here we go. The fans, the toxic fans that were reported that he talked about. Let's take a listen.
The internet. Anytime you get into something like this, you're fighting against that even before you've written a word. God. And the pressure on you as a writer. I'm just curious. Do you care? Does it bother you, or does it energize you? To do right by them as well, or what they expect, or take them into a direction they didn't expect.
It was shocking on Rogue because I didn't really have any exposure when Rogue happened and everything that happened. I was really blown back by what was going on and this thing that I hadn't paid attention to. So I had a
yes, this thing he didn't pay attention to because he doesn't care about Star Wars.
I knew about it when I came back. I knew what to expect. You have to realize about that community that their passion is they love this thing so much. The hardcore, deepest you have within that community. You have Shiites and Sunnis and Kurds, and you have all kinds of people who have different, but their love of the show and their love of what it means to them is something that you really have to pay attention to. So my attitude has been, and the attitude of the show is, as far out there as we get, and as much as we bend the tone and the idea of what to do, we could never, ever be cynical about it. We have to take it more seriously than anybody's ever taken it. We're never winking. We're never kidding it. And so we have this mix of people who know nothing about Star Wars on our show, and then we have a bunch of people on the show that are huge nerds, and it's the marriage of knowledge and history mixed with a real ambition to take it someplace else, with a hopefully respect for. I want the respect of that audience. Now, I do read.
Now, does that sound like he was saying that, like, the toxic fans? Now, I don't know, we'll go a little bit further into this, but, like, he hasn't yet spoken about Kathleen Kennedy and what she's had to deal with. She's had to deal with what the passionate fans have given her and the criticism that they've given her because she's given the fans a load of shit. So that's on her. But nowhere in any of that statement, I mean, it was almost like when Henry Cavill got asked about the toxic fans out there. And he goes, they're just passionate. They love the stuff. So they got their opinions on it and the way that they think it should go. Now, it doesn't always go the way that you think that it should go. I don't expect everything to go the way that I think it should go, but it should certainly have the themes and certainly have that Star Wars-ness, I guess, to it. But nowhere in that statement did he mention them being toxic or anything. And this is another thing too, is every time a person who's doing an interview like this asks a question like that, it's because that's what they think and that's what they want to get that reaction from. Like, he wanted a reaction from Tony Gilroy that was different than what he gave him there. That would have been the biggest part of this interview. And the people out there that are writing articles about it, like the Direct and the way that they headlined it, is exactly what they wanted to happen, but it wasn't what happened. But they still published it anyway. They still put it out there that that's the way it was. Jesus.
What they, there's no way of doing it and not being controversial.
Yeah.
There's no way. It's impossible. And Kathy's job is like, I mean, you don't want to be Kathy and ever open the internet. It's just, I mean, what she goes through and what they, and it's been on for years, so.
She's amazing. She's amazing.
It's you got to be you have pretty thick skin to do that. But
the way she's amazing. She's amazing. Like, yeah, amazing at destroying an undestroyable franchise. And she's about to do it to another one with Indiana Jones.
I pay attention. I don't think we've made any real adjustments because of it, but it's been interesting to watch.
Did you have
That's the other thing, too, that I just want to point out. He just said we didn't really make any adjustments based on any of the criticism or anything like that. Well, why not? Sonic did it. Sonic did it, and the audience rewarded Sonic for doing it. Why not? Why didn't you? Because Kathleen Kennedy, it's my way or the highway. Because Star Wars is embedded in misogyny and the patriarchy. And we've got to change people's minds.
Check with George Lucas at all in talking about this? I mean, considering this is all going on before his first movie in the series.
I have had one conversation. George Lucas called me after Rogue. Yeah. And I had a 45-minute conversation with him after he saw Rogue. And that's the only time I've ever spoken to him.
What did he think?
He loved it. He really did. He liked it. He had some other things to say that but
he had some other things to say that, weren't so good, I guess.
Oh, really?
Yeah, no, I mean, no,
Now he's fishing.
It was it's
he
like
got
a
excited.
call from the president or something.
It's amazing. Yeah. I have to ask you about doing franchises. Obviously.
Okay, I've had enough. That's it. I just wanted to get to that point anyway. Nowhere in all of that does this headline, where am I? This headline actually come up and should be a headline. What she's got to deal with, the criticism of the fans, the people that are passionate about it, that do love this stuff. She's got to deal with it because she's the one that's employing people like this. She's the one that keeps destroying Luke Skywalker. She's the one that keeps greenlighting these things, and then fucking directors walk away, exactly what they were saying. Jesus Christ. She deserves the criticism that she's getting based on the results that we're seeing. God. George Lucas called me up and he liked it. He had a few other things to say. Yeah, there's maybe not so good things. Fucking hell. I think after watching that, it says it all. It really does. Yeah, never criticized it publicly. It's like George saying that The Last Jedi was a beautiful film. Gee, that's not good from George to say that. It's not good at all. You folks casually forget why George stepped away in the first place, because he was having a kid and he thought it was time for him to step away. I just feel like he made the wrong decision. He made the wrong decision in regards to putting Kathleen Kennedy in place, and he made the wrong decision selling it to Disney. He made a few wrong decisions there. All right. It is time. It is time. Where is my thing?
I'm the Jedi. I'm the Jedi.
All right, this week we've got a few new nominees, and we've got a few people that have obviously had nominations before, and we've got a guy who's won a couple, but we're starting off this week with Den of Nerds, Josh, Den of Shills. He's just wishing Dave Filoni a happy birthday. It's not really the fact that he's wishing Dave Filoni a happy birthday that bothers me necessarily. It's more the picture that he puts with it. These people think that Dave Filoni is the savior of Star Wars, that he is the gospel when it comes to Star Wars. And I couldn't disagree more. Like I said earlier in the stream, Dave Filoni has done probably more damage to Star Wars with all the crap that's come out with him behind it than what Kathleen Kennedy has done. More destruction to the actual lore. Even the things that they've invented, like tracking fobs, that aren't explained, right? That have actually created more of a situation for Lucasfilm than you could possibly imagine. And then, of course, making Ahsoka the be-all and end-all of what Star Wars is moving forward is an absolute joke. An absolute joke. So I had to put this in there. Not the happy birthday thing that bothers me. It's more the picture that he's using. Like, hail Dave Filoni, the savior, the god of Star Wars. Get fucked. All right, number 2. this week. Dan is back. He didn't make it last week, but he is back with another pathetic, ridiculous, horrifying take. He says, I believe Andor is the best season of Star Wars television ever produced. And quite frankly, it's not even close. Now, again, I would argue that it is probably better than Mando, definitely better than Obi-Wan and Book of Boba Fett, but it still has that many issues, and it is still a very boring show to watch that I can't even put it up there as like the best Star Wars television necessarily. Like, I even think that there's elements of Clone Wars that is better than Andor. And I used to love the Clone Wars until I grew a brain. But yeah, like, I believe Andor is the best season of Star Wars television ever produced. And quite frankly, it's not even close. Maybe, but it's still... Oh, you can't even click on each individual picture. What they do to Mon Mothma, the whole story threads of the heist and the prison break that don't make sense. There's a lot in there that doesn't make a lot of sense. Bail Organa not being there. What happened to the 80 million credits, right, chat? Number 3, Star Wars Theory gets a nomination this week. And he says, Mark Hamill says there's no need for more stories about Luke. Couldn't be more incorrect, in my opinion. We need Luke and always will. However, I don't trust Disney anymore to do it unless it's by Dave Filoni. Once again, the savior of Disney Star Wars, Dave Filoni. It's that part of this statement that, again, I have a problem with and gets him his nominee of Seal of the Week, right? I think I even responded to this. Did I? Normally it would just come up. Oh, there I am. Oh my God. Oh my God. What's with you and the Filoni boner? He is a hack and betrayed George Lucas just as much as Kathleen Kennedy. That's my take on his statement. But let's have a listen to the clip that he's clipped out here of Mark Hamill speaking about it.
You know, I had my time, and that's good. But that's enough.
So even though you say you won't go back, there's always a chance you could go back.
Well, you never say never. I just I don't see any reason to. Let me put it that way. I mean, they have so many stories to tell. They don't need Luke anymore. You know, I had my...
They don't need Luke anymore. And I mean, I think that's telling. I don't agree with it. And just like Star Wars Theory doesn't agree with it, it's the Filoni boner that I fucking hate. Because it's almost like they choose to ignore it. And they choose to ignore it because they believe that Filoni is like the apprentice to George Lucas. You know, he worked at Lucasfilm when George was in charge, and he knows his stuff and all of this kind of thing. He might know his stuff, but he's choosing to ignore the stuff that he knows so that he can do what he wants. You know, I think that's evident enough when he was talking to the little doll of himself, right, at that Star Wars celebration or whatever convention it was, where he says, like, is Ahsoka alive? I don't know. You can do whatever you want. You're in control. You can't just do whatever you want, in my eyes. And again, I think I've given enough and mentioned it enough tonight on the stream to say what I have a problem with Dave Filoni in. He is a hack. He has betrayed George Lucas. And the Filoni boner shits me. And then the last nominee for this week, I'm sure it would have to have pronouns, wouldn't they? Surprisingly enough, they don't. Bisexual lighting Darth Vader just means a lot to me. Oh, the blue and the red lightsabers putting the rainbow colors on his suit. It means so much to me. I had to put that one in there because we're in Pride Month, right? The gayest month of the year. Bisexual lighting Darth Vader. Just means a lot to me. It means so much. Oh. Bless my heart. So there are your nominees. I'm going to put the poll in the chat for you guys. One, 2, 3, and 4. All right, the poll is in the chat. Just go through them again. So we got Den of Shills saying happy birthday to Filoni. Again, it's not really the message that he's writing. It's the picture that he's using. We've got Dan believing that Andor is the best season of Star Wars television ever produced, and it's not even close. We've got Shill Wars Theory saying that Mark Hamill, basically saying what he's stating down here, that the stories don't need Luke or aren't about Luke anymore, and he disagrees with that statement. But he only wants Disney to do it if it's Dave Filoni. And again, that's where I have the issue, and that's what makes him a seal when it comes to this, because he will literally seal clap anything that Dave Filoni does and not criticize it, even though criticism is due. And then we've got the last one here. I'm just going to call them 2 days. Orbs, 2 days. Anyway. Bisexual lighting, Darth Vader, just means a lot to me. So amazing. So get your votes in, guys. Oops. Fuck, I nearly unplugged my internet, which would have been bad. Stream would have gone down and everything. All right. While we're waiting for some votes to come in, let's watch some of these things. So obviously The Flash is coming out soon. I'm pretty sure it's coming out soon. It's not out already. And they released a little clip for our enjoyment. So I saw this. We're going to give it a quick watch.
Zod.
Amazing. I got to pause it here. Like, look at that. I'm sorry, but that CGI just looks absolutely horrible.
Zod.
This bit and this bit. Like, the way that they do, like, Quicksilver in the X-Men movie, that's brilliant. That, it almost looks like he's running on a treadmill, right? And they then decided to fill in the stuff around him. You know what I'm saying? Shit acting. Yeah, Zod. Anyway, I just wanted to share that because it just looks, to me, it just looks horrible. I mean, I'm not going to go and watch this movie in theaters. The one thing that pisses me off about, you know, the fact that I'm not going to go and see it is the fact that they bring Michael Keaton in as Batman. You know, I would love to see him as Batman again, and the nostalgia of that would be nice, but I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. I'm not supporting Ezra Miller. I'm not supporting them for getting rid of Johnny Depp and allowing Amber Heard to still have her role and allowing this fucking pedo to have his role as well. I'm just not doing it. And again, that just looks like CW garbage. Okay. Now, this is another example. This here is another example of a person doing an interview that really wants to, that you can almost see like he looks like a fucking little bitch, right? And the question that he asks is just like he's trying to take a dig at the fans that say that Spider-Man is Peter Parker and that Miles Morales is Miles Morales and that Miles Morales isn't real Spider-Man. Now, I did also see a clip from this Spider-Verse movie where they're trying to say, I think, that the Miles Morales is the original, like he is Spider-Man and he always has been. But this interview really tells you how much, I mean, I think it says at the top here, these people hate fans. And they really do, based on what I'm hearing and seeing here.
Was there any degree of that story that was meant to be a sort of commentary on the fans who don't see Miles as a real Spider-Man?
Yes, absolutely. 100%.
So, like, straight away, they're yes. Because he's like, is this supposed to be a commentary? And I think it's that scene that they're talking about where, like, they're trying to affirm that that Miles Morales is, like, the original template for Spider-Man. And they're like, yes, 100%, yes. And look how happy he is at the response that he gets from them.
Absolutely. I mean, the idea of, like, canon and the
rules and who rules, gets to be.
And Spider-Man, like, is it definitely is like a character that is owned by the audience. But some of that audience, like, takes it so seriously and is trying to enforce and restrict. I remember when Miles...
Again, it's very different to hearing, let's say, Tony Gilroy. And I don't like Tony Gilroy for what he's done in the Star Wars stuff, right? But he talks about passionate fans and everything. They say that, yes, Spider-Man is essentially owned by the fans and everything, but then goes on to say a little bit more.
But some of that audience, like, takes it so seriously and is trying to enforce and restrict.
But some of that audience takes it so seriously and tries to enforce and restrict. Like, how pathetic. This makes me not want to see this movie even more than I wasn't already going to go and see it. Just because of the way that they're talking about the fans. It's kind of like I mentioned earlier with the Sonic the Hedgehog thing. Criticism came out. They took that criticism on board and they made changes. They delayed it so that they could make changes and they were rewarded for it. These people fucking hate you. I mean, he looks like somebody that would chase after kids.
Remember when Miles Morales comic book first came out, there were people who were rejecting Miles as a character, for their reasons, not how we think it should be. And we wanted to talk directly to that and actually like almost stick it to that mentality.
Oh, stick it to them. Stick it to those fans.
Of no, anyone can wear the mask. And if Spider-Man is a character that is owned by the entire world should be represented in that character.
Oh, and the representation. The entire world should be represented in that character. So a character can't be an individual anymore. A character has to represent everybody, everything. So does this character represent your toxic white men as well, like white straight males? Because they're the enemy right now, aren't they? Again, to me, pathetic. What a creep. G'day, Tim. How you doing? Yeah. Again, very different to how, let's say, Henry Cavill answers a question like that. Or to how, even if this cuck here, this person doing the interview, look at him. Look at him. Fat, long hair. A little bitch. Even if he asked Tony Gilroy a question like that, based on what we just saw, he would have just said, no, these guys are just passionate. They feel like, Spider-Man is Peter Parker. That's when we were originally introduced to Spider-Man. He was Peter Parker. Something like that. Anyway. Oh, God. What the world's coming to. All right, and we'll watch this. This is... Here we go. So today we got a trailer for Expendables 4. Now, I didn't mind the Expendables movies, at least some of them. I can't remember them. It's been so long since I've actually watched them. And like the whole concept of like the Expendables bringing in like all these action movie stars and putting them all in and lumping them all into one movie. I kind of liked the concept behind it. They're just fun. They're stupid. That like there's a lot, like especially the one where Chuck Norris shows up, right? And he just kills everyone and blows the tank up and all this kind of stuff. Again, you've got to have a bit of suspension of disbelief in there. You got to allow it to be just that action, movie. But they've done a fourth one, so let's watch this trailer.
Let's fly, baby! Brilliant.
Welcome home, honey.
Do you read now?
What is this?
It's classified.
Coming with you.
Is that Megan Fox?
I'm sorry. You weren't invited.
Nothing can stop me. I can't get enough. Playing with dangerous bad behavior.
Oh, she's gonna beat the shit out of him.
They call it bad behavior. Hey, why are you here?
I got this situation where I need your help.
I need bad friends.
Was I'm the new guy?
Is that sniper?
Don't worry about it. I got a prescription
Oh,
scope.
cute.
Oh, guys, remember this face.
Oh, no.
Don't shoot
What am I
by
saying? Fucking 50 Cent.
Bad friends.
Was I'm the new guy?
Is that sniper?
Don't worry about it. I got a prescription scope.
Oh, guys, remember this face. Don't shoot it by accident.
Terrorists have taken possession of nuclear missiles on a cargo ship off the coast. If these babies go off, it'll be World War III.
Take cover!
To choose this life over friends, over family.
It's time to get loud.
Let's fly, baby!
Come on, bring it!
Was that The Rock?
Now that's what I'm talking about.
Is that the biggest one you've got? Oh, it's way bigger than that.
No, but in that blur shot there, it looks, honestly, it actually looks like Jock Nerdy. I don't know. I'm not going to go to the theater to see that. I'm not spending money that way to watch that movie. But yeah, 22nd of the 9th, that comes out. There you go. There you go. All right, let's go back to, let me just bring it up really quickly first. All righty, let's see. How did we go in this poll this week? Okay, it's pretty close. I'm going to end the poll here. All right, with 13 votes in the bank, we have in last place and second last place with 15% of the vote. We've got both Den of Shills with his Happy Birthday Dave Filoni. I didn't think he'd get too many. It's, again, like I said, it's more the picture that I don't like. And Star Wars Theory with his take on this, because again, it's not very Sealy-like or Shilly-like. Like, he's obviously saying that he doesn't trust Disney, which is fine. unless Dave Filoni's involved. So again, that was more the problem that I had with it, the Dave Filoni bit. So those two are in last place and second last place. In second place, the runner-up for this week is Dan. I believe Andor is the best season of Star Wars television ever produced, and it's and quite frankly, it's not even close. It's not really close. Yeah, it might be the best Star Wars TV show that they've done, but it's still not good. And the winner of this week is, of course, bisexual lighting Darth Vader just means a lot to me. Well done. 2 days. You win this week's Seal of the Week. Congratulations. Let me get to my thing. Congratulations for the win.
I'm the Jedi.
Oh, Tillium, did you miss out? I'm sorry, dude. I should have gone through them again before I ended the poll. My bad. I'll try and remember that for next time, just in case there's some latecomers possibly. But that's it, guys. That's the stream this week. Well done, everyone. Thank you all for being here. We got through everything that we wanted to get through. And yeah, I've got to start trying to put out some more videos. I'm going to try and clip out some of the stuff that we went through on this week's stream or this stream. Oh, excuse me, for a few videos and get those out. Of course, you can find the Seal of the Week videos being dropped each week. So I'm clipping those out as well. Need a Filoni Seal segment? Maybe. But yeah. Thanks again, everyone. Thanks to your super chats. Thanks to the members. Greatly appreciate all your support and everyone for being here. To all the lurkers or all the people that come back and rewatch the stream because they missed it live. Thank you again to you guys as well. You're all awesome. I appreciate all of you. And we will see you next week for another Casual Rage. But also, too, you can catch us this weekend over on the Full Aussie channel for the Back of the Ute stream. And, of course, in the middle of the week, we've got Happy Hump Day every Wednesday. I think it's Wednesday morning for you guys in the States, obviously, Wednesday evening for us. So thanks again, and we'll see you next week. Take care. Let me find my outro here. Later, guys.
A few minutes? Are you kidding? At the rate they're gaining?
No, what is it? You have to shoot this. Traveling through hyperspace is like dusting crops, kid. Without precise calculations, we fly too close to a store. Or bounce into a supermarket and then...
Yeah.
It'd be a hell of a mess.
What's that?
Watch. You're losing the deflector shields. Go strap yourselves in. Be careful on the way out.
Yeah, sure. I'm taking it very cautiously.
You... Go away!
Bounce too near a supermarket?
They came bounding over.